Well, Rich, you had the honor of standing next to Lee, and you were second place, and you were second place, and you were second place. And, I mean, how frustrating was it to have this guy in front of you as you were just bringing in conditioning, again, to that point that had not been seen. You know, obviously today a lot of the competitions, you know, it's a glute contest, you know, they turn around, obviously you ain't got lines in your butt, you're not winning nothing. But back then, that's what you brought to that stage, and that's what was your hallmark, was that dryness and that conditioning. But was there a level of frustration having Lee next to you?
Well, first I want to say, like, you know, I was friends with Lee before. We were actually training partners in Los Angeles, and I was going to win the Nationals and hopefully then go into the Mr. Universe to turn pro. And Lee Haney was going after getting third place to Samir Benoot, wanted to go in and win the Mr. Olympia. So I had the honor of training with Lee Haney for that amateur show, which I won, and then won the Mr. Universe, and still trained with Lee Haney right up to the Mr. Olympia. That, you know, he came to my house in Jersey, and, you know, he won that year in New York, and it was such a great, you know, thing to be able to train with Lee. And you know, Lee taught me a lot of stuff and how to train properly. He used to call me fat boy when I was so I came, you know, as this Jersey boy, really heavy, bulky, and Lee goes, you gotta lose all that fat off your body. And so he taught me about dieting. He taught me, you know, how to train properly. He also used to say, like, what was the thing he used to say? It's not, it's
quantity, but the quality.
It's the quality. Yeah, it's the quality, but it's how you lift the weight. You know, you can't just push the heavy weight, because I was more into like powerlifting to get that mass. So I won the '83 Junior Nationals, which I was like over 208 pounds. I needed to redefine my body because I had really big legs, upper body. I was almost like a Tom Platz. I had to change my physique to train the upper body more, do less on the legs, which I helped Lee get his legs better, his calves better. We trained calves every other.
So you helped him beat you, in effect.
Yeah. So going into my first Mr. Olympia, you know, he moved to Atlanta. I moved back to Jersey. I don't. Maybe Lee didn't expect me to come into the '83. I'm sorry, the '85 Olympia in the shape I was. But I went into the New York Night of the Champions. Came second to that show, being 186, coming in at 209. From that 186 to 209, it was a different physique. So going into the Olympia, you know, coming in second my first pro show, now going to the Olympia, I was this cocky kid. I was 20, I just turned 22 going to the Olympia. Coming in third place, I go, wow, third place. Lee Haney got third, so the following year he won, so I'm gonna do the same thing.
And I nicknamed him Reach the Itch, because he would never go away.
So I go into, you know, so now I train my butt off for the '86 Olympia, saying I'm gonna beat Lee. And I'm looking at this guy, he's got this huge back, and I go, the only way I'm gonna beat this guy is I have to train the way Lee Labrada said. I gotta beat him the way I have to beat him in the type of physique I had. And I was known for being the first bodybuilder with striated glutes, you know, being the driest bodybuilder. You know, people say I have genetics to be the great bodybuilder, but I had the mind genetics. Everything I did scientifically. I took a scientific approach. Everything I did journals on my diet, how I ate, how I felt, and I felt that's what I had to do to beat great superior genetics. And I just felt that if I just pushed myself to new levels of intensity, you know, I could beat him if he just slipped a little bit.
Rich was the most intense guy that I have ever met. That's the one that he didn't have a heart attack in the gym. I mean, this guy was totally different, you know. Rich stayed with me in Shirley for what, about 2 months or so?
2 months, I lived in his house.
Sleeping with the enemy, you know? He learned too much.
And you know, the thing is, I have to say, to today, he brought me into his home, his wife brought me into his home, and they treated me like family. And I'll never forget that. It was the greatest experience that I could consider.
I'll never let any cat like that move in my house again. He almost got my bank account.
Apparently it was a great experience for Rich, not so much for Lee. or Shirley, probably.
But, you know, when you asked about, was it frustrating to come in second? I mean, it was, I took it and put my all into the shows, and I was winning Grand Prix shows until I lost a couple to this guy in '88. But I was like, I never lost a show. I only lost to Lee Haney, so I was going into those shows saying, I could beat him. I got to stay second. If it just go one notch up and he slips, I could beat him. But, you know, it's a great honor to come second to the greatest bodybuilder, you know, of all time. For me, it's like now I look back and reflect, it's a lot of my work ethic comes from me working so hard in professional bodybuilding and taking that and putting it into, you know, what I do today. And that's what's made me successful, but I'll never forget that experience.
Thank you, Rich.